Hi, I'm Cindy Bertram. Thanks for joining me today on Good Ship Happens. And yes, there's been a lot of wonderful news coming out this week related to the travel and cruise industry, of course, too, but one that really, really touches my heart so much because I know I love sharing positive stories. Whereas Miss Zoe, who I wrote my second book with, called Message from the Dog Library Humans, make her famous, but it's called this book. This is Miss Zoe, my puppy niece. But as I tell people, Miss Zoe, and I always say, well, you know what? Positivity breeds positivity. And a really, really wonderful thing came out this week was actually with Norwegian Cruise Line. They have done this for the past 4 years. And it's what they do is they call it their Norwegians Giving Joy. What they do is they award teachers across the United States, and people have to get nominated in the spring. They open it up to teachers. They can be nominated by other people. And what they did was they just did name their 20 winners in their 4th annual Norwegian Giving Joy contest, which recognizes teachers across North America. And each of these 20 educators actually won a free 7-day cruise for 2 people. And it just, oh, wonderful, because teachers work so hard. Having taught before myself and also recently just get a better grasp what's going on in the world of teaching. I actually did do some substitute teaching this spring myself. But once again, what they did was, in addition, the top 3 grand prize winners are also invited to attend the Norwegian Viva's 4-day christening voyage. And the Norwegian Viva is coming out, of course, this fall. I've written about it. It sounds wonderful. And then during this christening event, which I shared more about, I believe, before, and maybe last week's episode, a week before, it's their christening event's going to take place in Miami on November 28th. And they selected Godfather, who is actually Luis Fonsi. He's a well-known Grammy Award-winning Latino artist himself. He's the Godfather. He's actually going to be performing, and they're also going to have some other people performing that night too. But the grand prize winners, they work at different schools across the country. One was Ryan Price. He's actually with this Buckingham Colgate Charter Academy in Vega Valley, California. And then Carolyn Reedon from James Otis Elementary School in Chicago. And also Angelo Moratti from Lakewood High School in Arlington. So that's fantastic, because once again, too, is they have to be nominated, but once again, too, what a great way to really recognize teachers that really go above and beyond. And this is the 4th year they've done it, and they will continue on. Also, NCL's beverage partner, Coca-Cola, actually donated airfare for each winner and a guest as they plan their cruise. In addition, all 20 winning educators will receive a virtual training session by the Guy Harvey Foundation to explore their K-12 education resources using Harvey's marine art as an anchor. And I've actually met Guy Harvey myself too. He's fantastic. So it was really, really great. As far as this Norwegian Giving Joy contest, it actually drew support from more than 3,400 teachers across the U.S. and Canada, and garnered thousands of votes, with winners, of course, from California, Florida, Illinois, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, New York, Ohio, Puerto Rico, Tennessee, and Virginia, and Washington. And since 2019, Norwegians Giving Joy has actually been awarded more than 250 educators with a free cruise and donated over $350,000 to the schools and teachers with the support of its brand partners too. So what a good way to really start this week and share it on Good Ship Happens, because once again, teachers work so hard, and to be nominated and then to win, that's fantastic. And I really appreciate what Norwegian Cruise Line has done. Yes, it does bring tears to my eyes, but it's really, really good information to share, because teachers work so hard, and it's good to be able to recognize them, what they do. They go above and beyond, and they have, of course, a really, really great impact on children's and teenagers' lives too. So yes, that was really a fun thing to share first. As far as other things, I focus a lot on the cruise industry, but also what's really fun too is besides the cruise industry, travel industry, we've got great companies out there to provide different experiences. And then one is actually called Railbookers. I actually know the co-president and their VP, and what they did was they just made a big announcement. They do wonderful things. And Railbookers just launched 5 new vacation packages to Switzerland. So in their case, with Railbookers, they go beyond the United States. They do different options, of course, in Europe. And also, they just launched 5 new vacation packages to Switzerland, which I think would be fantastic to do. And just another way to really, really explore and experience different things when it comes to traveling, too. And what's good, too, is, with all Railbookers, they've got 5,000 plus itineraries, yes. Everything's customable to the desires of customers, whether it's additional hotel nights, maybe additional sightseeing, leisure upgrades, and once again, they also have, of course, groups that do Railbookers too. But what's again too is it's just another way to really think about traveling in different places too, if you prefer it by rail. But that's great too. So Railbookers is one to think about too in the future too, just in case. Something else that's been a really, really big hot button has been more of the expedition type cruises, which I think is fun. One that's really been going like crazy has been Antarctica. And there are some cruise lines that actually go to Antarctica. They're very small cruise lines, of course. It's not the big ships that can go there, but these ships have been purposely built to do this. And what's good is to really, I think, kind of know what's involved and what to think about if you're thinking about maybe doing an Antarctica cruise. Because it's different. Of course, I would love to do it sometime too. I mean, I don't like the term bucket list, okay, because the things I want to do, I can't fit in a bucket, okay? But the point is, it's definitely, I think, a place I would like to go to maybe in the future, down the road. I'd love to go back to Alaska, of course, but with Antarctica, it just seems like it's such an extraordinary experience to really experience too. So anyway, as far as when you are thinking about maybe Antarctica, okay, there's just, you have to really kind of know it. You're getting the best of both worlds. Okay, what's good too is with different cruise lines that sail there. One is actually Atlas Ocean Voyages. They started about 2 years ago. They actually launched their first cruise in summer of 2021 after we went through the pandemic with COVID-19, but they did successfully launch in the summer with their one ship. They were starting out, had to delay a little bit, but what they did was they were at less than half capacity. They successfully started, but they just announced that they're going to be offering some Antarctica cruises that just came up, of course, this week. I'll share more about that too. But what's again too is with cruise lines that go there, of course, they're smaller, more unique type ships, not quite expedition because once again they're luxury, but once again it just kind of goes back to what to think about if you're thinking about maybe doing Alaskan cruise, because with Antarctica, it's a very, very, can be very, very interactive. But once again, the cruise lines that actually sail there really are very, very careful what they do. Their ships are specially made to handle the cold waters. But once again, too, it goes back to people that maybe might be interested in doing an Antarctica adventure. They call it an adventure. It goes back to when to cruise. Usually we see the cruises coming up for these. Usually they're offered from Netherlands, from November to March. This is during Antarctica's actually summer. Okay, when we think about summer here, we think about, of course, June, July, August, maybe first part of September. But with Antarctica, of course, because the other side of the continent, what they do is actually their summer is actually from November to March. So that's when you could go on a cruise to Antarctica. And of course, the temperature is kind of going down. Once again, it goes back to just what you're thinking about too, because once again, they use smaller ships to really navigate these areas too. But once again, it goes back to their ships are very, very high-end quality. And as mentioned, Atlas Ocean Voyages just sounds like it'll be June 2. This November, I will share more about that in a minute. But also, it goes back to It's things you can experience while you're there. For instance, kayaking, of course, is one. That's a limited activity, but once again, it requires some advanced planning too. It's a highlight for many travelers. But once again, it requires advanced planning, and there's an extra cost involved too. But also another thing they do too is zodiac rides. Yes, it's really, I think, a great way to experience things. And once again, they have enrichment, of course, lectures, destination briefings, and landings that are actually led by expert field guides. What they do is they actually escort sightseeing safaris by Zodiac, and most cruise lines also provide a parka that clients can take home too, because you have to stay warm, of course, and you have to have your boots, rain pants, walking sticks, binoculars to use while on board. And also some cruise lines also offer submarine rides, of course. They felt pretty fast, but once again, they also have complimentary thermal suites back on board too that people can use too. So once again, it really goes back to things you can actually do if you decide to do an Antarctica cruise. It's not just viewing things, but experiencing things. And with these cruise lines that actually offer Antarctica sailings, once again, they have expert guides, field guides, which can actually lead you and also provide you with more. And they actually, with their shore landings, are actually led by these expert field guides. So you're not going by yourself, which is great too. And once again, it's just something else to think about too, because once again, like I said, I'd like to go to Antarctica sometime, and there's some cruise lines that go there. Atlas Ocean Voyages is one. I can come up with a few more later on, but once again, it just sounds like it'd be a once a lifetime type of fun experience to do too. But you have to get prepared for it too, because it's just really part of what is called now expedition cruising. With expedition cruising, it's a little bit different market, okay? And smaller vessels that actually can actually have the capability of docking in ports that are often not accessible by other bigger ships. And it's really an upward trend more than ever. And once again, it just is a great way to actually experience different things in a unique way. And so once again, that's part of what I think is part of Lily Antarctica too. Is more considered maybe an expedition type of voyage too. And once again too is with the expedition cruises that go to Antarctica, different places, you're not on just a plain expedition type ship. These are really luxury types of ships themselves. They're almost like a floating hotel, smaller ones, of course, too. And they do offer connectivity, internet connectivity. One that's been going like crazy, the cruise lines offer on board the ships is called SpaceX Starlink Internet. And, you know, one thing that the president of Atlas Ocean Voyages mentioned is that he's even seen guests work from home while on board a ship in Antarctica. So once again, it just goes back to you've got Wi-Fi, high Wi-Fi accessibility to, which is great. And another one, actually, if you think of another area as far as expedition, would be American Queen Voyages in Alaska. And with American Queen Voyages, they've been around, I think, 11, 12 years now. What they do is they have smaller ships themselves, including a couple very, very small. Once again, they have been offering a special voyage in Alaska too, which is great too. So it's definitely, I think, something to keep in mind too. If you're thinking about taking a cruise, maybe you've not been on one before, or maybe you've been on cruises, want to try something a little bit different. So the expedition cruising is definitely a growing area, as is going to places that maybe you'd not thought about going before, including Antarctica too. And there are other options out there too. So, and something else, I was talking about Alaska, mentioned with American Queen Voyages offering Alaskan cruises. Another one that is kind of interesting too is when you think about San Juan Islands, what do you think about? San Juan, Puerto Rico? Well, actually, one thing that is popular too, and this is something that's being offered by American Cruise Lines. They've been around, they're family owned, and they've been around for a long time. Family owned, wonderful people, family that owns the company. They also own the container shipping yard that actually builds their ships, smaller ships. What they do is they actually have some special cruises coming up And it's going to be Puget Sound and the San Juan Islands. And the San Juan Islands they're talking about are the ones that would be a little bit further north of Seattle. So that's kind of fun to think about too, because there's so many options out there too. They've got this coming up 11-day Grand Puget Sound cruise. It's going to begin in the city of Seattle, Washington, and go through the harbor of Puget Sound and then cruising into the San Juan Islands, of course, up in that direction. And they've got, it's really very, very picturesque. They've got historic seaside towns. They've got Friday Harbor, which is an ideal opportunity while whale watching, of course. They've got breathtaking vistas in the Olympic National Park, where wildflowers actually cover the mountain meadows too, which is great. And then, of course, ferry to Victoria, British Columbia, which is great. And different things too, when they just made this announcement, because they are going to be offering these special cruises to Puget and also the San Juan Islands. And this is going to be on their American Constellation. And it's really their newest small ship cruise ship on the Puget Sound too. So definitely keep that in mind too, because this is another option to think about too. Because with American Cruise Lines, as far as their difference, what makes them stand out a little bit more is they are an all-American company, and they've got more than 50 years of experience on their new boats, which were actually built between 2018 and 2023, of course. They've got the smaller ships with some just that accommodate 180 guests or fewer. Also, they've got nightly entertainment. They've got really resident historians and experts who lead the discussions and also enlighten people as well. And personal experiences too. They've got complimentary wine and beer included with gratuities on board their ships, and they've got their signature complimentary cocktail hour each evening. They've got optional pre-cruise packages too. And once again, they've got Wi-Fi that's actually also provided by Starlink too. So once again, I think that's great too. So keep that in mind too, just in case you're looking for something that might be more US based, but great experiences too. That once again is with American Cruise Lines, and they're a fantastic company. Been around for quite a long time. They do wonderful things. So keep that in mind too if you're thinking about maybe doing something a little bit different, because once again, sailing within the US, we have beautiful rivers, of course, too, which is a great option, and different ways to really explore the US in different ways too. So keep that in mind. Mark, did you have any questions for me yet or not?
So there I go. One of the things I was curious about, and I was actually trying to get some of the things out in that space, is cruising to Asia. So I've heard of some interesting cruises, including some to Vietnam, Thailand, and other places along this line. So we are definitely a global network. So I was wondering if you had been to any cruises to Asia, and if you had any of those experiences. So that's something that I was just curious about, was cruising to Asia. And I was going to bring up a video. I was in the process of getting that about a cruise that is in that area. But while I am getting that up and getting it lined up and all along those lines, we can just find out from you, Cindy, if you have any of the Asian countries and what your thoughts were off of that experience. Because I was going to see about some things in that space, and I didn't know if that was a spot of the world, as you have definitely done a multitude of cruises, if that is something you've had the pleasure of experiencing as of yet, and what your thoughts were about cruising there around Asian areas.
I haven't, but I've read about it. It sounds fantastic, because with Asian cruises is a whole different type of experience too. You know, a long time ago when my parents had a travel agency, full service one, and my mom actually ran and owned it, and my dad liked to travel while not working, of course, didn't work there, but they got to some fantastic trips, and they got a chance to actually go to China, which is great. They saw the Great Wall, which is fantastic, but they did different places too. One of my dad's favorite places to go to is actually to fly to Tahiti. He loved doing Tahitian cruises. And it was amazing. I mean, just the pictures he shared, it was just like so beautiful. They've been there actually a long time ago, stayed there for about 7-8 days via land, but then it became a little bit easier because my mother ended up losing her right leg to heel cancer, and cruising was much easier on her to do too. And I sent them on several different cruises to Tahiti too, which is great too. But the pictures he shared was just amazing. But they
Sounds
got
like
a
it.
chance to go to different places too. But China was really fantastic when he shared, the Great Wall. They got a chance to see the Great Wall, but different places got a chance to go to too. But the Tahiti cruises seemed absolutely beautiful because once again, he was a very personable type person. But once again, it seemed like the people that were there were just so engaging and willing to talk to you and just beautiful experiences. My goodness, when you get off the ship, it was great.
It sounds like it was a beautiful experience. Sounds like it was a wonderful experience for folks just to enjoy that they don't always get to enjoy. What was it, as I bring up these two videos from different parts of the world, what was it about that experience that he really enjoyed? And do you remember any of his personal experiences that he shared with you about the Great Wall and other places that he visited that really enthralled them and all in that space? So was there any particular stories that they shared with you when they were talking about and thinking about that particular trip?
Well, like I said with Tahiti, the big thing is he liked to shop, of course. He was a shopper. My mom didn't like to shop, okay? Because
Okay.
one time he actually did a trip with a friend of mine, and it was more of a travel industry related type trip. But when my friend got back, of course, they went to South Africa, did a safari.
Oh, wow.
And when my friend Tom came back, he said, okay, now, what didn't you tell me about your dad? I said, well, he likes to shop. Yes, because I mean, beautiful necklaces. He always brought beautiful jewelry. He would take things over there himself and give it to different people that worked at different like jewelry stores. He gave them free things too, which is great. But he was very, very engaged with the people he met over there. Also, something else he liked to do is I met my friend that okay, he likes to talk to strangers. Yes, but he was a good person as far as talking to different people, not just he would get involved with them too, which is great.
Like I told you before, I just only went on that one cruise. Definitely got to do better than that and add
Right.
more cruise to my list and everything. But when I went to that cruise to the Caribbean with a dear friend of mine, one thing I remembered is literally going off of the cruise and seeing some of the shops, and that was in the Caribbean. So could you maybe speak to that? Because you can get some great deals. I know sometimes the shops are right off of the boat as soon as you get off there, and sometimes they are manned by people from those various villages. I think that there was definitely a shopping area when we went and got off in Puerto Rico. I also remember one vaguely that was in the Grand Turk. So I do know that a number of
Yes.
these things are out there and you find some great deals. So I just wondered if you could speak from your own experiences about some of the shopping, because I think I saw some of the ladies getting some great dresses and other things in that space when they would get off the boat and see some of these handmade kind of items. Some of them were even jewelry and a number of other things, and they were at some fairly good prices. So I was just wondering your thoughts around that from your own experiences.
I love it. I really do. I like to embrace shopping with the local people because once again, it's part of their income. But once again, too, is you can get beautiful things. I've gotten beautiful necklaces myself, some dresses. And the thing is, they expanded a lot. But one thing that came up too after St. Martin had gone through that nasty hurricane, I was there before the hurricane hit and after hurricane hit a long time ago. And what they did was they also then created a really beautiful new cruise port where the ships would actually dock there. Okay, where before you had to actually tender off the ship onto St. Martin. But what's great too is when they built that beautiful dock area, they expanded. They've got beautiful shops. I love shopping there, different things you can get. Plus, once again, too, as you can take a water taxi into town or on the other side of the island, because the French side of St. Martin is gorgeous. Beautiful beaches and things too. A lot of things to do there too. But once again, it's a good place to really kind of choose where you want to buy things too, even with St. Thomas. I love St. Thomas. First I went there, I was on a trip and it was just like a vacation thing. But then what happened was we did a cruise to St. Thomas, and they've expanded because once again, they have actually built areas for ships to dock too. But once again, you get off the ship and you're actually shopping right there, which is great. Just wonderful things. And one time I was there in December and we were there actually when they lit their Christmas tree,
Oh, wow.
which is really fun. But once again, I think it's good to really embrace and help all these local people because that's how they earn their income. But once again, it's great because another good example too is, we're talking about San Juan, Puerto Rico. Well, a couple of years ago, I got a chance to go to San Juan, Puerto Rico. I was invited by Celebrity Cruises. They had just redone their Celebrity Summit ship, and they flew a bunch of us down there to San Juan, Puerto Rico. And we got flown down there on a Friday, and then we actually had a hotel lined up. And what they did was then we got on the ship in the early afternoon, and then we sailed out just for a little bit. They just redone the ship. It was gorgeous. It's just wonderful what they added on board the ship to really vitalize it too. But then coming back, they actually provided the airfare, which is great. And we had to get off ship by 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30. But when my flight wasn't leaving till 6 o'clock at night. So, I mean, what do?
Yep.
You know, I don't sit there and just stay at the port. I mean, stay at the airport. And a friend of mine that was also on the same trip actually found this wonderful company, and we did it. It was just a great experience because once again, it was just a great way to really experience different areas of San Juan. It wasn't very expensive, maybe $75. Once again, we got a chance to see beautiful areas of San Juan, Puerto Rico, including little tastings and just fun. And I always recommend that too. I got to think about the name right now for a minute, but it was great because a great way to really experience Puerto Rico. I mean, there's so many things to do too. Because one time when I was there on a cruise, afterwards my flight left a couple hours later, so I did go to the Bacardi Rum Factory, which is great.
Right. No, definitely. And I definitely remember seeing some great things as well. Definitely some tourism. And I think there was something to do with one of the pirates at one of the things that I went to. But then the other thing I remember was seeing some authentic music, because I want to say that this was almost 5 years ago.
Oh, yes.
Like some flamenco type music that's kind of that traditional Spanish sound. So it wasn't so much the dancing as it was the music that goes with that kind of dance and everything. But it was just amazing to go into the bar and hear that sound, because I think that was in like a bar / nightclub kind of environment and everything. But definitely that was just truly amazing. But I'm going to bring something around that Vietnam. So I do have a video to show, and then we've also got one around fly fishing, and then I might find one about the safaris. But let's check out this video.
And then I'll mention, I found out the name of the tour I did was Spoon Food Tours. Spoon Food Tours. My friend found it. It was amazing. And next time I go down to San Juan, Puerto Rico, I've got extra time. Yes, I will definitely do another Spoon Food Tours. It was just amazing because they took us all around. We had different tastings at different restaurants, things, different beautiful areas. And it was a beautiful way to really explore different areas of San Juan, Puerto Rico. I've been there several times, but this was just amazing. So definitely look up Spoon Food Tours.
Sounds good. We'll have to check out Spoon Food Tours. Right now, let's check out this 2.5-minute video about what's going on in Vietnam and Thailand and some of their cruise activities.
I have never been on a boat quite like this before. The amenities, the food, the cuisine, the warmth of the crew, the happiness of the crew, the helpfulness of the crew made this a special experience.
Obviously, I love the ship itself. Just the design of the ship is incredible. So that's, the first thing that hits you. It's seeing bits of the river which are so far away from civilization. So being out in the middle of nowhere on the Mekong River or the Sap River, and you're the only tourist for miles.
Have a 5-star luxury hotel that with the most unbelievable food that brings you to all these amazing cultural places, and it makes it as easy as possible just to get off the boat onto the skiff, and it's quite an experience.
What I like about the boat, cool in feeling, very comfortable, spacious suites, food was amazing, and staff were outstanding.
I have to say the biggest surprise about the trip was the friendliness of the people after they've been in such a war-torn environment for so many years. They seem to recover, they're very positive about tourism. They're very positive about their country, so it's great to see.
Being on the Appomattox was one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had. I'd like to say that given the opportunity, I would do this again and again and again.
Well, that was just one. Now we're going to go fly fishing,
Yes.
if you don't mind. This is
Yeah.
another one that's longer, and it'll share something about fly fishing. I think it's from some of those same folks, but definitely it gives us an idea of some of the cruises that are different, some of the more mainstream ones that we've been talking about. So let's check out this one as well.
Nemo Bay, the Raven, radio check on 10.
Coming in loud and clear.
When you're in this area, there is no time. Time doesn't matter.
Great Bear Rainforest is a huge forested area on the coast of British Columbia, and it's the last bastion of sanity in the world. We're blessed with water because we get our power from the waterfall. We get our sweet, pure drinking water from the waterfall. That's extremely important to look after water, look after the land, because today we need that. Our planet needs that.
What we're trying to do out here is trying to create value on this land other than extractive resources, and so just the beauty has so much value, but that's very difficult to quantify. And if I can prove that this untouched has value, then maybe people won't take so much of it and they'll see it a different way than it has been seen in the past. I think people are missing that spirituality or the energy when they're in the city, and I think when they come to a place like Nemo Bay where they're in nature, I think that's just, it's a natural response to feel like you're getting in touch with something. My parents started in 1981. For the first few years it was survival mode. It was nothing but digging clams around the corner and just eating what we could forage.
I had a very young family, and we made a decision that being together was more important than anything else, so I dropped everything and came to this place, and I had no idea where it was or what it was or what we were going to do.
Growing up without understanding how precious this place is and how fortunate we were to come up and grow up in this way, when you're inside of it, you really can't get an objective view and really understand how special it is.
I've been working here since I was about 8 years old, but Nemo Bay came around kind of when I was born, so I've been here my entire life. All we're doing is sharing our life out here, really, and we're just making it available to other people to come and enjoy and share that experience.
One of the reasons why people continue to come back, the people. I often get that comment from guests. They feel like they're at a brother's house or a family member's house. They never feel like they're at a hotel or at a resort. It's people's second home.
Eat my baby, I don't mean maybe, never gonna let her go. In spite of ourselves, we'll be ending up sailing on a rainbow. And stars,
helicopters here, Echo Bravo is lifting off of the west end of Archipelago. We'll be climbing up to 2,000 feet.
Nemo Bay's motto is to fly is human and to hover is divine, and I believe that's absolutely true.
A lot of times people are speechless. They don't really know how to find words for what they're looking at.
We're just coming down the top end of Seymour River here. There's a beautiful section of waterfalls.
The west coast of British Columbia is just a really unique, diverse place where you can go from glacial mountains with rugged, jagged peaks down to pristine, clear lakes, meandering, beautiful rivers full of fish, and rugged coastline all the way to the sandy beaches. Nowhere else in the world really offers that extreme diversity in such a small area.
Can you tell me about the food?
Oh my goodness, the food.
We can do food here that nowhere else does because this terroir is absolutely unique. Seafood is phenomenal. Sea urchin we're freediving for. We're just starting working with sea cucumber. Spot prawns are unbelievable. Halibut, lingcods. I mean, all of which is fresher than anything I've ever seen in the city.
I try to forage as many natural ingredients as I can and sort of incorporate nature and the idea of nature into what I make. I want people to feel at home and I don't want to feel like it's intimidating.
There's an incredible energy source from within our mountain at Nemo Bay. And I'm not sure what creates that. I think perhaps it's water.
When I jump into the ocean, I feel like I cleanse my soul and just change the channel.
Sometimes I go out in a boat and I could just lay in it for like, I think once I did for 3 hours and just listen to everything that's around me. Just the surrounding gives you that calm feeling.
People just don't know how to bring it together out here, and I think our team is able to bring it together for people and create these magic moments, and that for me, it makes me really happy, and I see it all the team, and that makes them happy too, to be able to elevate these experiences with people and see the joy on their face, and yeah, as I talk, that kind of gives me goosebumps, so I feel that's what it's all about.
That was beautiful. Oh my gosh. I just love
we
the
have
visual.
those kind of things that are going on. Huh?
That was beautiful.
It was beautiful and just amazing that they've got that resort area and it's not that far from us. It's literally in Canada. They've got this amazing thing that they've got where people can travel to and enjoy and definitely enjoy it, whether it is by boat or by land, but they're right there in the British Columbia area of Canada. So they're literally one country over from us and all in that space. So that's just an amazing tourism thing that I was going to show. I got one more and then I'll let you go back to the other news, but you had mentioned earlier the safaris. Well, let's go to Africa and check out this particular safari. The video about. So let's check out what's happening with the safari. Because this is actually a safari and cruise combined.
That is great. I actually have a business friend that actually has a safari company too.
Uh-huh.
He's fantastic. He's been doing it for several years. His name is John Robin Mountain. His company's called Nataba African Safaris.
Oh, cool.
They came to the U.S. I'm trying to think how many years ago, and he also started his Nataba coffee houses 4 years ago. The fun thing is he came from South Africa, has had his safari company for several years, then relocated to Kentucky in the U.S.
Wow.
But then they started launching Nataba coffee houses, which is the African coffee is Nataba, right? But it's great, and they're very successful. I think they're opening a new location too, but it's great to see his successes because once again, he offers Nataba African safaris. I'd love to go there sometime too.
Yes, on my bucket list, I've actually got some friends that have different restaurants. There is an Ethiopian restaurant here in Durham. I have some friends of mine from Kenya, and actually one of my friends who is running for mayor here in Durham. He and his wife have a Zimbabwean restaurant because she is originally from Zimbabwe. He's from North America and North Carolina to be exact, but she is from Zimbabwe, and they have two Zwellies. And like I said, he's running to be mayor of this area. So, and that's just a few of them, but there are a number of them, which is one of the points I was going to ask you about. One of the things that I know we oftentimes do is we're talking about good shit happens and everything is we are oftentimes focusing because that's just where we oftentimes are just in society, those that we know the best. And definitely we've shown that there are a lot of European cruise companies and a lot of American cruise companies, but I'm pretty sure that cruise company was probably African based, and I'm pretty sure that other one we showed was pretty much Asian based. So it's good to know that the cruise industry is very worldwide, and there are a number of cruise ships, including some luxury cruises, that are coming out of these other countries too. They're not just United States cruise ships or just English cruise ships, but there are cruise ships from throughout the world, including Australia, New Zealand, and other parts of the continent as well. So definitely it's good to see that some of these companies are using cruises to explore part of their society. I'll just leave it at that and everything. But it's good to see got these multitude of cruise types out there coming from different parts of the world and giving their own unique touch to it.
Right, because when it comes to cruising in different areas, of course, the river cruise industry has really taken off like crazy, especially in Europe. They go different places too. I know with one cruise line, they sometimes do offer cruises on the Egyptian River, Egypt. Okay. And Amawad always does that. Plus, a lot of them are going into South America too. But also, the core Amawad always has been the rivers in the Europe area. They're expanding like crazy. As mentioned before, it's a great way to really see those beautiful areas, but you're on a smaller type of river cruise, very luxury, and they can actually dock right there. So you're right by the cities we actually get on and off the ship. And once again, they don't have to worry about if you do a tour. If you're staying at a hotel, you have to flip around different hotels. But with this case, we were cruising. I think that's why it really fits a niche, because once again, if you take a European travel trip yourself, you've got to switch over different hotels. So you have to unpack, repack. And with the river cruises, what's really great too is they actually are your floating hotels, so to speak, and you can actually get off, experience different things. Some of the river cruise lines stay a little bit later, which is great too. They have different experiences you can actually embrace too, which is great. That's one thing to think about too, because also you're talking about cruises that offer different places across the world. I'll mention more next week, but one, of course, is with the Cunard Line.
Yep.
And they offer, of course, Asian, Australia cruises, different ones. For instance, I was looking at a couple up there. Queen Mary 2 offers one. I think they offer different cruises, but across the world too, they've got one, for instance, that would go from Cape Town to Hong Kong. They've got another one that goes to Perth to Hong Kong, but different things like that too.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I was talking to a guest yesterday on one of my shows. We were actually doing it's usually a show that airs on Wednesday, but we were doing a special edition of it yesterday, and she lives in Las Vegas, but I think she said that she had been on the Amazon cruise, so she had been down the kind of cruise or travel where she had gone down the Amazon, but she really her bucket list wants to do one that would go down the Nile. So she hasn't done
Yes.
the Nile yet, but apparently you can go from one end of the Nile to the other. And this is not a younger woman. I won't say that she's in her late 70s. She might even be 77, but that is definitely still on her bucket list, along with her husband and others that she may want to take with her. But that's on that bucket list that folks might be thinking. And I was actually fascinated by the cruise that she had done, which is the one down the Amazon and all along those lines. But both of those sounds like they would be fantastic and very interesting to go on if you had that particular opportunity, because I know I've not had a chance to go down the Nile at all, but I think that it would be super fantastic to get that opportunity and to travel down the Nile and to see what that experience would be like if you were able to do that and all in that land. So that's one of the things that I'd be curious about. So have you ever had any chance to do a Nile cruise, or is that still on your bucket list as well?
Yes, but what came up too is with the Nile River cruises. I know Alma Waterways offers those, but years ago, my parents had the agency. They actually had a chance to go to Egypt.
Oh, wow.
Not on a cruise, of course, back then, but they went to Egypt. It was beautiful to see the pyramids. It was just, my gosh, what a great experience for them to actually experience too. So next week, I'll do a little research and share more about who's doing where as far as the Nile River, also Amazon River too, different things like that too. Because once again, we're seeing more ways to explore the world different ways too. As mentioned, expedition cruising, but also Antarctica is growing like crazy. The ships that go to Antarctica are very, very smaller. And they're kind of like expedition ships, but they've got that capacity to really be safe as far as underwater areas too, which is great.
Yeah, definitely got to go underwater, and I definitely want to try that particularly. But I don't swim, so I need to find some way that it is underwater and that I know it's safe, because I'd hate to be caught underwater and not knowing how to swim.
No. They have, when I mentioned underwater, they have submarines.
Right.
Smaller submarines that do that. So I'll share more about that too next week.
Yeah,
and then
please
something
do.
else. Yeah, definitely. And then
The other
something
thing I was
else.
going to ask you really quickly is, you have mentioned a couple of times about the parents and the parents' trip and everything, both on this episode and other episodes. So if we get pictures, I can put them up on Flickr. So maybe we can get some pictures of you and your mom and dad and some of these past trips, whether it was with you or without you, if you still have access to said pictures, because we could do like a whole photo album and share some of those pictures on a upcoming episode. As you were just saying that, I was going like, we should do that. We should show some of these.
Yes, I've got a couple of pictures. Well, the fun thing is when they did, as mentioned, they had gone to Tahiti several times, and then later on, when my mom lost her right leg heel cancer, the year she decided to retire, cruising was easier. You know, they actually did a tour in the U.S. I got them booked in that because I was still doing some outside sales to another travel agency at the time. But the problem is the tour company, when they got the hotel, you know, we had requested the handicapped rooms. They didn't have a handicapped room available.
Oh, no.
Which was not good, because on cruise ships, they actually have a certain number of staterooms just that are handicapped accessible.
Yep.
So you know what you're getting on board the ship. So cruising became much easier, and it was really fun when I got them. I had got them booked to do. They were going to be doing like an anniversary type of celebration on Princess Cruises. And what happened was, I think that was maybe 2008 or 2009. What happened was, I was going to this cruise conference in Miami, and that's when Gavin McLeod was kind of the spokesperson for Princess Cruises, and he was going to be there. So what I did was I got a happy anniversary card for my parents. What I did was he was at the trade show. He's really nice. He talked to all of us. We had our pictures taken with him. I said, Gavin, by the way, I said, I've got my parents going on a Princess Cruise to Tahiti. It's for their anniversary. I said, would you mind signing this happy anniversary card for them? So I give it to him with their documents. He said, sure, I can. He says, when are they going? Can I go? I gave him the date. He said, I can't go. I'm busy. But anyway, I gave my parents their cruise documents, which you had to print out at the time, with a happy anniversary card signed by Captain Stubing, Gavin McLeod.
Yep, that's a great way for them to sign. I'm sure they thoroughly enjoyed it and everything. As we get into wind down, and I know you got some other news that you want to get to. Would you like to go down at least for a minute? I think it's like about a 6-minute video. Would you like to go down the Nile? Because I do have another video.
Oh, that'd be great. Because they went to Egypt. It looks gorgeous. I have to find some pictures too, but I still have some pictures of them when they went to Tahiti too. So I'll find some. It'd be great.
Sounds good. Well, let's go down the Nile on this last video that I found.
So we just had a really nice 5-day stay in Luxor, and now we're going to take a Nile cruise from Luxor all the way down to Aswan. It's about 2 nights, 3 days. So we're going to be getting on one of these boats behind us here and enjoy the adventure.
We are Zach and Ina, full-time digital nomads from the United States and Belgium. We met while studying abroad in 2018 and have been traveling the world together ever since. We're here to inspire your next adventure, whether it's hiking in the Canadian Rockies, a road trip through the US, or backpacking across Africa. On our channel, you'll find unfiltered videos of hiking guides and the best things to do in destinations around the world. One of the best ways to see Egypt's ancient past is by taking a Nile cruise. Most Nile cruises go between Luxor and Aswan, taking between 3 to 5 days total. No matter what cruise you choose, you'll have time to relax and take in the scenery of the Nile Valley, while enjoying tours to some of Egypt's most impressive ancient temples and tombs. In this video, we'll go over different cruise options and what to expect on a 3-day cruise from Luxor to Aswan, including interesting attractions that you can't miss. Generally, there are 3 ways to cruise the Nile River. The cheapest and most adventurous way to cruise the Nile is by felucca. A felucca is a very small boat and has no cabins and sails by the wind. There are usually no facilities on board, such as bathrooms or bedrooms. A dahabeeyah is another option. This small wooden boat relies on winds and has about 10 cabins. It's the most exclusive and expensive way to cruise the Nile. Finally, the most popular way to travel the Nile is on one of the big Nile cruiser boats. This is a mid-range option, but boats can differ in price and the range of facilities. Most boats are like a floating hotel, including a sun deck with pool and restaurant. We opted for the Nile cruiser option ourselves, since it was too cold for the felucca experience at the time we visited, and the dahabeeyah was too expensive for us. Our cruise option included amazing facilities and food, as well as the major temples and excursion stops along the way. Find more info and prices for the different Nile cruise options in the description below. Most Nile cruises start in Luxor, and so did ours. Luxor is also called the world's greatest open-air museum. This is because the city's history goes back thousands of years, which can be observed in its ancient temples and tombs today. We explored the world-famous Karnak Temple, the impressive Pharaoh's tombs in the Valley of the Kings, the fully excavated Habu Temple, and so much more. The city is awe-inspiring, and we recommend staying at least a few days in the area before boarding the cruise boat if you can. Check out our other video on the best things to do in Luxor to get a full overview.
So this is the room in our cruise, and we have a bathroom here with a shower and a toilet, as you can see. We've got a TV, we've got a view. We basically got everything we need. We have like a mini fridge as well. So yeah, it's a pretty good room, I think.
So one of the nicest things to do on a Nile cruise tour is watch the sunset. The colors are just astounding, beautiful. It's really relaxing up here on the top deck. So yeah, right when the evening sun comes out, it's time to go upstairs. On the second day, you'll arrive in the city of Edfu, located along the west bank of the Nile River. Edfu is known for the Temple of Horus, one of the best preserved ancient monuments in Egypt. Your visit to this temple will start early in the morning, where you'll be picked up by your official tour guide. The temple is dedicated to Horus, one of Egypt's most important gods. The extensive wall carvings of this temple give insight into the religion, mythology, and way of life during that time.
Every day to worship the God. How many times the common people come to here? They are coming 3 times a day.
Afterwards, the boat will sail towards Komombo, where you'll explore another amazing temple in the afternoon. This temple is dedicated to 2 gods, the local crocodile god Sobek and Horus the Elder.
For that reason, the temple has a double design, meaning that there are courts, halls, sanctuaries, and rooms duplicated for two sets of gods. This makes the temple very unique in Egypt. In addition, there's also a small crocodile museum. Here, you'll find a collection of mummified crocodiles, which were roaming the Nile banks of Komombo until recently.
It means day. Refers to sun. Okay? And this sign, circle and line inside, number 9.
On the third and final day, you'll arrive in Aswan. From here, you usually have the option to go on a day tour to Abu Simbel in the early morning, or take your time to check out and stay in Aswan for the whole day. We went to Abu Simbel, which is a 3.5-hour drive from Aswan and close to the Sudan border. Carved out of the mountain between 1274 and 1244 BC, the Abu Simbel complex is truly impressive. The 4 colossal statues that front the temple are gigantic and make for a beautiful setting. The temple itself was dedicated to Ramses II, often referred to as the greatest, most celebrated, and most powerful pharaoh in ancient Egypt. So these hieroglyphs, it's very clear that he's offering 2 Wendy's milkshakes to the gods. After our official Nile cruise activities were over, we decided to stay a couple more days in Aswan, which we definitely recommend doing if you have the time. Aswan is a relaxed and friendly town, surrounded by beautiful Nile scenery and immense sand dunes. It's a great place to experience the different Nubian culture, discover the many islands, and watch beautiful sunsets from. Alright guys, that's it for our video on the Nile cruise from Luxor to Aswan. We hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like this video if you found it helpful, subscribe to our channel for more Egypt videos, and download our free giveaway in the description below. We'll catch you on the next adventure.
I'll go down the Nile. That looked like that was fun.
It does. I mean, as far as the pyramids, my parents had a chance to see those, but it was on a tour, but fantastic. My gosh, fantastic. Just something else you want to see because it's part of history and you don't think about it. But the thing that's really great too is think how old those temples are.
Exactly.
And they survived.
Yep.
Which is really fantastic. Even one of my favorite places to go to in St. Kitts is called Brimstone Hill. It took them 100 years to build it. And it survived hurricanes, which is great too. And even like sometimes you'll see the beautiful areas in San Juan Perico. It's survived the hurricanes. And you think about how old these things are and they survive, which is great part of history to see and embrace and experience too.
Yeah, no doubt about that
Right,
and everything.
right.
Okay, to bounce off, I think this time we'll close with probably version and all in that space. We have that lovely video whenever
Okay.
you're ready to close, but I'm going to bounce off, but we'll close out with, actually, I think we'll close out with Dr. Sylvia. We haven't done Dr. Sylvia
That's
in a while.
fine. That's fine. Great. Because she'll be christening the ship in another week, which is great too. That's with Explorer Journeys. But once again, so wonderful thing. Something else as far as the new ship that just was acquired is Silver Sea Cruises. What they did was they just took possession of their newest ship, the Silver Nova. It's their first new class of Silver Sea Cruises, and it took place on July 20th. I believe she'll be sailing out on her first cruise on August 14th from Venice, and she is actually an environmentally advanced ship. Silver Nova becomes Silver Sea Cruises' 12th ship. She has a capacity just for 720 passengers. Also at 54,700 gross registered tons. It's a small ship, once again, luxury. And it was so good to see this because I've actually talked to Barbara Muckman, who's the president of Silver Sea Cruises, and for them to actually get their newest ship, she'll be sailing on August 14th. Something else too I wanted to share something too about is, once again, keep this in mind for next year. With Norwegian Cruise Lines, as mentioned, they have this annual award for teachers. It's our Norwegians Giving Joy contest. They just did it for the 4th time this year, and they just announced the winners, of course. But once again, keep that in mind. If you know a great teacher, make sure you look at when Norwegian Cruise Line is going to be doing their next Norwegians Giving Joy. That'll be in 2024. But if you know a great teacher, get them nominated, because once again, it's a way to really recognize them in different ways. And the top 3 finalists actually did win a 7-day cruise for 2 people. So that's great too. So that's fantastic news too. So definitely keep good teachers in mind for next year. And I'll come up, of course, when the next date when they open up too. So Mark, if you want to go to the last video, that'd be great too, because we have, of course, new Explorer Journeys, Explorer 1 being christened, actually, when she sails out on August 1st, which is great too.
I'm Dr. Sylvia Earle, a marine biologist, oceanographer, explorer, and I'm passionate about the protection of this blue planet. I grew up next to the ocean in the Gulf of Mexico, and I've witnessed how much the ocean has changed and how marine life has been endangered. But I know there is still time to help the ocean, which is why I was drawn to the Aponte family's sustainability mission. Explorer Journeys has a genuine ambition to connect people with the wonders of the sea, its marine life, its communities, spiritually, physically, and intellectually. We share the same values and have the same objectives to deepen people's relationship with the ocean, to explore, protect, and restore. Explorer Journeys calls it the ocean state of mind, a sensibility that will ensure the protection of this precious blue planet. Through my foundation, Mission Blue, we're working on ocean conservation, inspiring hope with champions across the world. Beginning with my extraordinary role as godmother to Explorer 1, we will be heralding a meaningful collaboration between myself, Mission Blue, and Explorer Journeys and the MSC Foundation towards preserving and restoring the world's oceans, the blue heart of the planet.